Hi, we're here with Eugene Borukhovich, Global Head of Innovation at Bayer. Welcome, Eugene. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Back in the last couple of years, the World Health Organization reports over 400 million people without access to healthcare. So I wanted to answer how technology can help solve this problem.
Yep. So I think I'll back up just a few years ago. I met an entrepreneur from Africa that basically somehow got a connection to the internet and saw TED Talks. And that inspired him to actually create a TEDx locally, right? So I mean, that's one impact of just access to the technology and experiences. The other aspect, and we had some entrepreneurs, actually social entrepreneurs with us visiting yesterday, and there's a number of companies. One of them actually graduated from our Grants for Apps, BISA app, and they're solving some of these challenges around marrying and leveraging the technology to marry doctors with the patients and the access. And what I would say is there's entrepreneurs everywhere, right? Whether it's Vietnam, whether it's somewhere in Africa, or in Europe, there's a lot of stuff going on in Barcelona, right? Just as an example as well. And there's amazing talent and amazing passionate individuals. We do have the Grants for Apps program, but we'll talk about it a little bit separately, that enables that.
And in fact, Bayer is part of the fourth revolution of transformation, digital transformation, and they're helping over 50 startups with Grants for Apps. What you can tell us about this movement, this new step of Bayer as a global company?
And I would say it is a movement. So it started 5 years ago as just simple grants, and Grants for Apps, which is focused on digital health, is only a part of our open innovation platform. So we have Grants for Tech, as you saw, the robotics downstairs, and a number of other platforms, including our open innovation portal, where you can submit products as an entrepreneur if you want to get routed to. So the Grants for Apps, I actually met the team way before I even started at Bayer. I love the word movement because it really became a movement within Bayer, but also outside of Bayer. And I think we took the approach the first year of just really understanding the market, given small grants, and then quickly turned into an accelerator. What I loved about the Grants for Apps as an external before Bayer is, unlike some other companies that invested in accelerators that kind of took an arm's length to it, the Grants for Apps team really, it's placed in Berlin, inside the four walls of Bayer, connecting the startup culture and the creativity with the internal corporate culture and creativity, right? And marrying the two together. This is now going to be year 5 of the Grants for Apps overall program, and indeed from just the accelerator part, we've had 14 companies graduate, and we have a number of pilots going on. And actually last year, just to pick an example, a company like Turbine that's doing quite a hefty analytics, for the first time within the range of Grants for Apps, we actually did a pilot deal during the program. So it's moving, the culture is adapting to each other, and it's really a fascinating thing. The second part of that, and I'll touch on movement. So we launched the program kind of globally in Berlin, entrepreneurs from around the world. We've, I want to say, franchised the model within Bayer, right? So it is your agenda whether you're in Singapore or if you want to do an engagement in Ireland. I'm just picking some random countries. And what impressed me is when we launched the Asia Pac medication adherence challenge out of Singapore, there was a team in Thailand that without asking, without doing anything, they felt the passion for the Grants for Apps. They stood up a meetup to just inform the local community, and they just did it, right? And so I see the culture change, but I also see the movement internally.
How do you see, culturally speaking, a company like Bayer is a multinational company, empowering small startups, a digital world that's completely different from the multinational level? How Bayer is transforming its company to that?
So I would say it's less about the multinational, and I'm a big believer that actually innovation happens at the edges and not at the global level. And the example I made earlier around Thailand is a perfect example of it. I think the two parties, for lack of a better term, bring unique propositions to each other. So the startups know they don't say no, anything is possible, move the mountains. The corporates bring a little more structure, right, and also scale. Because especially in the healthcare market, you either go direct to consumer, which is a game, right? You can go direct to consumer, but that takes also millions, right? From advertising to engagement to virality, or you take the B2B to C channel. And so I think that marriage is made in heaven, because each party can learn from each other.
Perfect. Nothing else. Thank you very much for your time, Eugene.
Pleasure.
It has been a pleasure.
Same. Thank you.
Thank you.